Let us now work through the 6 stages of carburation on the 1B and 2B, starting with Stage 1, the choke. A cold engine requires a greater volume, a slightly richer fuel-to-air ratio, and a faster idling speed. And it is the choke assembly operation which meets these requirements. The choke mechanisms on both the 1B and 2B work in the same way. As the engine cools down, the automatic choke's bimetallic spring gradually tensions up, ready for the next time the engine is started. The maximum amount of tension is only applied when the engine is stone cold and the ambient temperature is low. The bimetallic spring tension is released by the driver pushing the accelerator down once before starting the engine. The tension then closes the choke valve. The effect of closing the choke was shown in Part 1, the basic principles of carburation. As soon as the engine is started, 2 things happen. Firstly, an ignition-fed electric heater starts to warm the bimetallic spring, thereby gradually relaxing the tension. The tension is fully released after approximately 4 minutes, depending upon the ambient temperature and the speed of the engine warm-up. Secondly, a choke pull-down diaphragm pulls the choke valve open to a set gap within a second of starting. Then, after a delay of 4 to 6 seconds, the pull-down unit pulls the choke valve open to a larger second gap. The delay is caused by the green depression reservoir on the offside front inner wing. The choke valve gaps are adjustable and are crucial for obtaining good cold running characteristics without stalling. Too wide a gap will give a weak mixture and the engine will have flat spots and may stall. Too narrow a gap will give a rich mixture and the engine will choke up and stall and the fuel consumption will be high. An extra item to the choke system on the 1B range is the cold starting enrichment. This only operates when the engine is cold enough for the tension of the choke bimetallic spring to fully close the choke valve. In this position, this hole in the choke valve is close enough to the end of the full load enrichment tube to create a depression at the end of the tube. This causes extra neat fuel to be drawn into the engine for cold starting enrichment. As soon as the engine fires and the choke pull-down diaphragm pulls the choke valve open, the enrichment stops. Adjustment of the choke bimetallic spring tension. Before adjusting the tension, it's important to ensure that the correct choke assembly is fitted, as each carburetor version has a choke bimetallic spring of slightly different operating characteristics. These are identified by the number stamped on the choke cover. Refer to the workshop manual for the particular vehicle. If the number is correct, the tension can be adjusted by aligning within the marks on the carburetor body and choke cover. Adjustments of the choke pull-down diaphragm for the choke valve gaps. There are 2 versions, small and large. The adjustment procedure is the same for both versions, but only the larger choke valve gap is adjustable on the older small unit. With the new larger unit, both gaps are adjustable. It's recommended that if you have a vehicle with cold running problems, replace the small unit with a larger one. This will enable you to obtain very accurate adjustments. The adjustments are carried out as follows. 1. Remove the outer hose from the pull-down unit, the one which goes to the green reservoir. 2. Remove the inner hose from the pull-down unit and carburetor and check that there is a restrictor in the hose or in the inner connection of the pull-down unit. 3. Refit the restricted hose to the inner connection of the pull-down unit only. Connect the VAG 1390 vacuum pump to the other end of the hose. 4. Open the throttle, close the choke valve, then close the throttle. Ensure that the fast idle screw is on the highest step of the cam. 5. Operate VAG 1390 continuously. The choke valve should open to the first gap. Measure with a round feeler at the lower edge of the choke valve and adjust if necessary by moving the pull-down unit's end cap with a 6mm Allen key, large unit only. 6. Close off the outer connection of the pull-down unit. Operate VAG 1390 continuously. The choke valve should open to the second gap. Measure and adjust using a 2mm Allen key on the end of the pull-down unit's operating rod, both small and large units. 7. Remove VAG 1390 and replace the hoses. If a closely defined first and second stage movement is not obtained, or the choke valve keeps closing, replace the pull-down diaphragm unit. Note that in the hose between the engine and the green reservoir, there is a black and white one-way valve. The black side should face towards the green reservoir. Adjustment of the cold start enrichment tube. 1. Hold the choke valve fully closed. 2. On the choke valve with a hole, adjust the tube so that the bottom of the tube is just level with the upper edge of the hole. 3. On the choke valve without a hole, adjust the tube so that the bottom of the tube is 1mm above the closest surface of the choke valve. If the tube is too high, poor cold starting will result. If the tube is too low, an over-rich mixture will result, causing hunting and high fuel consumption. We've seen the operation of the choke assembly and the controls and adjustments necessary to obtain good starting and cold running characteristics. After the break, we'll go on to look at the idling system.